I get to select different leaders in the community and recognize them for their leadership moments, understanding that these are challenging times. I thought it was very appropriate to recognize the team that managed this COVID response from the beginning. And you guys have done such an extraordinary job saving lives each and every day that it's an honor for me to be able to recognize this entire team this year. And it is the dream team with the Public Safety Award for 2021.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's,
that was sneaky.
We like to surprise the recipients. And this year, being COVID, because we're doing State of the City a little differently and doing it virtually, I want to make sure I met with you in person as well. Just to, again, really thank you on behalf of the residents, Palm Coast and Flagler County, for the extraordinary job you did in managing this crisis, making sure people were kept safe, and still running your agencies and organizations at the level in which you did. So I'm very proud to present this to you guys, and I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So,
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, no, this was a no-brainer. Again, this is truly the dream team, and we've assembled in the worst of times. And the numbers are what they are because of your efforts each and every day, without sleeping, without taking a break, months after months after months of really being just vigorous in your approach and collaborative with every municipality, every entity, and every agency. So we're super proud of all of you.
Well, first of all, it's quite an honor, and this has been work that I've enjoyed doing anyway and would do anyway. To be recognized for it is just kind of an extra treat. I think that for all of us, this has been really a pretty amazing year. I mean, in good ways and bad ways. Bad ways, obviously, all that we've had to sort of go through in terms of inconvenience, people who've lost their lives. Good ways in terms of, I think our community has really rallied to the challenge. And for the health department, it's been fun working with everybody and seeing people so dedicated to testing people, working on strategies to prevent illness, getting the word out, and then now vaccinating, which is even kind of a more exciting phase. But also to work with our community leaders. I think the city of Palm Coast sort of set the stage for this with their town halls and just a very active promotional campaign to educate people on not just about COVID in general, but about where we stood with the illness as we were moving through the course of the year. What we've learned sort of from the scientific community is it's not just important to understand what's going on, but also to communicate it. And that the best understanding, if we can't follow through with policies that are effective and the public doesn't embrace these policies, things just don't work. And I think there's been some debate about, the Western cultures versus the Asian cultures in terms of the compliance levels and sort of how they dealt with the illness. I think we could do better next time, but I think we've learned a lot about sort of what our values are in terms of freedom and sort of how we can structure things in a way that people are comfortable with the approaches we take and they actually succeed.
Honestly, receiving that recognition was a big surprise, and it's very humbling. I'm sure for myself as well as my colleagues that got the recognition at the same time. It was just very humbling. I mean, it really it's about a team. I don't really see it being about me. This is a public health emergency that's primarily led by the public health folks like our health department, but because it was a pandemic, it was an emergency. It was such big change happened so quickly with this disease. The fact that we had to come together, treat it like a big disaster, like a hurricane. But that went on for over a year, as opposed to a couple days, and then we have a month or two of recovery. This has been going on for well over a year, and we've gotten involved in things that probably in my lifetime, in my career in emergency management, I never would have thought we would have gotten involved in. We've always had plans for pandemics, and they were always these theoretical things, and we had smaller events like bird flu and stuff, and it's one of these things that you had a plan, but just every good emergency manager has a plan for that. But you're like, yeah, that's one of the things that won't happen. But you have to have a plan. So, but it happened. We had to implement what we'd been planning for and talking about for years, decades even. The most important thing is to be prepared for anything. When I go out and do, and again, COVID's kind of put a damper on some of this, but prior to COVID, I used to do a ton of speaking events and talking about being prepared. I had to be doing a lot of them around hurricane season, but one of the things I say over and over again, like a broken record, but I truly believe it is, Floridians like to say, oh, I have a hurricane kit. Everyone has a hurricane kit, and they put stuff in it because I might lose power for a couple days. But I tell folks, turn that hurricane kit and make it a year-round disaster kit because you never know what might happen.
The events of last year have been stressful. And there was a time when we locked down everything, and that, I think, was the worst feeling for the firefighters because they are used to being out and doing things for people. And when you tell them they can't do that, it affects them emotionally, compassionately. And when we started to release the department to go out and doing things again, the crews responded. There isn't a day go by that you don't make decisions and you hope these are the best decisions for the crews that possible. You make sure that you don't make the wrong decisions because it will adversely affect them. One of the things that occurred in 1998 during some really bad fires is at some point, usually in the middle of the night, and the smoke clears, and you look up and you see stars, you know it's getting better. When you go to a fire and the smoke goes from a dark black to a hazy gray, it's getting better. No matter what we're here for, when we get called to do something, it's at somebody's worst part of their life. And when we get there, the moment we get there, we start to make it better. And no matter what the incident is, it's a fire, it's a hurricane, a pandemic, you keep plugging away. And when you get to a certain point, it starts to get better. They don't give up. They don't stop fighting. They make sure that when they get to a certain point and they need more, you get them what they need to get the job done. But when you've got a resilient force like we do, you know that no matter what, it will always get better when you've got right people doing the good work.